The Objective News Network on the notion of virtuous leadership. Hello, this is John Hnatio reporting for the Objective News Network. You know that once in a while, it's useful to reflect on the past and do a sort of lessons learned analysis. It's amazing what you can learn to help guide you through today's toughest problems. One of the high points of my career with the US government was when I worked after the fall of the Soviet Union on defense conversion programs with what is now the Russian Federation. The idea was to help the Russians take all of the investment they made in making war machines and turn it into commercial ventures as they became responsible and prosperous members of the global community. But as we all know in retrospect, it did not work. But a postmortem analysis of what happened shows that the forces of the military-industrial complex were way too strong to allow any new alliance between the East and the West to blossom based on the idea of peaceful cooperation. Both on the US side and the former Soviet side, there were just too many ideologues who could not and did not want to give up their positions of power and influence as members of war machines. Working in these defense conversion programs, I saw firsthand how our own intelligence community took advantage of congressional legislation, things like non-lugar, not to convert military production to peaceful economic pursuits, but rather to find, misappropriate, and exploit the most valuable technologies in the former Soviet Union for US military applications. There were the old hardliners in Moscow, too, who saw what the US military industrial complex was doing and used it to fuel Russian fears that the United States was doing nothing more than exploiting them. There was no room for idealistic and visionary thinkers like, for example, George C. Marshall, who at the end of the Second World War managed to take former military adversaries like Japan and Germany and build them up to become economic powerhouses, and in fact, economic powerhouses in the whole world. This type of right think by Marshall has reaped vast economic prosperity, lasted nearly 80 years now, and resulted in a relatively stable world. You see, Marshall studied history and found that attempts to suppress former adversaries always leads to future wars, and Marshall worked to effectively break the cycle of war. So in the aftermath of the Cold War, the greatest opportunity of its kind to emerge in the history of mankind was lost. An opportunity for the United States and its former enemies in Moscow to come together to balance the rising power and the increasing military aggression of the People's Republic of China. I wrote a chapter on this idea way back in 2000 in a book sponsored by former Secretary of Defense William Perry at Stanford University. So what can we learn from this? Well, the answer, I think, is deceivingly simple. The difference between 1945 and today is the dearth of well-studied leaders who understand history and are willing to look forward to a better world based on mutual respect for one another. These are what we call virtuous leaders. As we continue on in this century, we have quite a mess to deal with as a result of our past mistakes. On the one side, we have the United States, On the other side, we have nuclear capable countries like Russia, Iran, and North Korea. We see a dangerous alliance emerging with countries like these and the People's Republic of China. But we have no strategy and a dearth of virtuous leaders to get us where we need to be. The upcoming presidential election cycle will be perhaps the most important in America's history. Will we elect a capable, smart, and virtuous man or woman with a knowledge of life and history necessary to craft and implement a strategy for America's future? It is what it is for February 24th, 2023. Thank you for watching. Please tell your friends, family, and colleagues about us. We are here to give you a slightly deeper picture of the news stories of the day. We look forward to seeing you the next time. This is John Hnatio reporting for the Objective News Network.